Give me my printout of the order.
I am the leader.
Plain back to that.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Tisa Moore. I'm the Public Information Officer for the City of Chamblee and the Chamblee Police Department. Today we can celebrate a happy ending because we had true collaboration between agencies which enabled us to bring baby Mateo home safely. And we are so thankful for that. Just some quick housekeeping before we begin. There are press kits available on chairs. There are also some at the back on the table if you didn't get them. There are also some jump drives that have dash cam and all the materials that are in the press kit. So if you didn't get those, please pick those up. There will be a question and answer period at the end. All the speakers today will answer your questions at the end, so please hold your questions then. I'd like to introduce our speakers. First, we will have Chief Carrie Thomas from the Chamblee Police Department. Also, Special Agent in Charge Chris Hacker from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Trooper First Class Jonathan Nelms from the Georgia State Patrol. Assistant Chief Mike Beller from the Chamblee Police Department. And Leslie Barrera and the family of Mateo, who's here with us today. Again, please hold your questions till the end, and we'll get started now. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Chief Carrie Thomas from the Chamblee Police Department. First of all, I would like to say thank you for everyone that's in attendance. Thank you for all that everyone has provided, especially the media, getting the information out, making the public aware of the incident that we was facing. So I wanted to briefly highlight just some the sequence of events on Saturday, at which time, again, as my PIO has instructed, we have a sequence of speakers, at which time hopefully all the answers will be, all your questions will be answered. So basically, let me tell a story. On August the 29th, patrol units from the Chamblee Police Department received a phone call of a frantic family, a frantic mother that had went through the most traumatic experience that anyone could ever go through, where she actually was assaulted and confronted with an attacker who actually abducted her one-year-old child. It is one of the situations that no parent wants to experience. So at which time the Chamblee Police Department responded. Upon responding on scene, there was many things being put into play to calling out the immediate resources that are available to us, that we recognize have to be done very quickly to have any success in an outcome. At which time the CART team was immediately notified by my assistant chief. The CART team is basically the FBI's child abduction response team. In conjunction with, they begin to get resources on the scene, as well as my CID, my Criminal Investigation Division unit responded with investigators, crime scene investigators. Command staff was also summoned to the scene, at which time incident command centers could be set up, and we can begin to get information flowing and begin the investigation to try to make sure that this comes out to a successful end. On that particular day, there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of, one of the things that I really wanted to highlight, and again, you have the printout, so I won't go read into that verbatim. Well, what happened is that there's an immediate need and immediate resources that are needed on scene. but more so there's a lot of dedicated officers that see the need and see that they possess certain specialties or expertise and experience that we're out on family outings this week that automatically recognize the need to pull out their laptops and begin tapping into resources that they know that will help and aid in this investigation. CID had plenty of their crime suppression teams that automatically jumped into actions, began to pull off for resources that the city has that will enable us to investigate situations and incidents like this that has occurred. So we begin to move into action. Again, even the command staff coming in, my captains, my assistant chief, pulling on resources that, again, became very valuable in this investigation, which ultimately began pulling out information, investigative tools, investigative leads that they were able to follow up on to obtain accurate tag information, accurate vehicle pictures. One of the things that I want to lend a compliment to is basically the infrastructure, the flock cameras that we all share in different jurisdictions were very vital in the apprehension and the development of evidence and leads that we could follow up on to identify these suspects. So in junction, I really want to say and focus on how collaboration works. How when you begin to pull resources and everybody is there on the same mission for the same outcome. When I was on scene initially, one of the first people from the FBI was the special agent in charge, who actually gave me a phone call while I'm standing on scene to say, you have the full resource availability of the FBI to you to assist in this investigation. We already had 2 FBI agents on scene that had already began working on following up on interviews, began looking into resources, continuous resources that they had, began to work on reaching out to the GBI to get the Amber Alert notification pushed out. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a lot of people that deserve the credit. My patrol units, initial response of the team that was working was phenomenal. Getting the scene locked down, getting all the evidence, begin looking at witnesses, begin talking to witnesses on scene was phenomenal. The GBI support in getting the alert, the Amber Alert out so everybody, other jurisdictions can know what's going on was phenomenal. The response and the cooperation of just, again, having personal contacts and professional contacts of my officers reaching out to GSP officers that they knew personally. And one thing about when we're looking at a child abduction, most of the people that you see in here are parents. So it becomes personal. It becomes a mission that we've got to work all our resources, everything that we have available to us for a successful outcome. GSP was phenomenal in getting into certain locations, getting information, critical information, and ultimately GSP and the assistance of my assistant chief making the stop of the suspects in Carrollton, Georgia, Carroll County. Again, a plethora of resources coming to the aid, coming to conduct this investigation, assisted. And again, it was a situation where nobody was stepping on anybody's toes. Everybody was working under an incident command system, everybody offering what resources they had available to them, everyone working diligently for a safe and positive outcome. There's kudos that could go out to everybody, a lot of people, but I really want to make sure that we understand that collaboration, when you're working in collaboration, that increases your chances of success. And again, so DeKalb County for the aviation support, the FBI, the GBI, Carroll County deputies and police departments was phenomenal. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn over to Chris.
Thanks, Chief. I think the best sound in the room is Mateo, so can you get him to do that again for us? Hey, look, I just want to talk about how rare this is. There's 3 types of abductions. And the one that you most commonly hear about is a child who is lost or a runaway. We hear about that all the time. That's kind of a daily occurrence across the country. And then second would be the false allegation. And third, and it's absolutely the most rare, is a stranger abduction, and that's what appears we have here. And that's less than 5% of all child abductions. And we're looking at anywhere from 200,000 plus child abductions a year. If you think about that small percentage of just a 3, 4, 5% being stranger abduction. I've been in law enforcement for 25 years. This is the first time I've personally been involved with a case like this, and that just tells you how rare this is. And because it's so rare and it's so significant, everything has to work out pretty much perfectly for us to have this resolution right here. And it did. And I have to give Chief a lot of credit for this. I mean, his officers are the ones who responded. Everything had to work out just perfectly for us to be here today with Mateo here in the background. The fact that his officers responded immediately, the fact that they called the FBI's task force, the fact that the GSP got involved, the fact that all the other agencies, that GBI was involved, all of that had to happen so fast, and it did because of the leadership of the chief. Now, behind the scenes, we were doing a lot of things as well, and I want to kind of explain a little bit about that to you, because you understand when people respond to the scene and people are doing interviews and they're following up on leads. That was absolutely happening, but at the same time that was happening, the leadership of our Violent Crimes Against Children program here in Atlanta had also briefed FBI headquarters, so this was briefed to them within the first 30 minutes of this incident. We requested guidance and support and additional resources from multiple different entities that I want to talk about just a little bit. And the chief mentioned one of them, which is the Child Abduction Rapid Response Team. And those are agents and analysts all across the country who are specifically trained as experts in child abductions. We had people coming from all over the Southeast, from Charlotte, from Knoxville, from Richmond. We had people traveling here immediately as soon as that call went out. It didn't impact the work they were doing here locally, because they kept doing their work, but we had resources coming in. The Behavioral Analysis Unit was also contacted and asked for guidance. They were given the facts that we knew at the time that helped us to develop some additional leads. And that was extremely beneficial, and they were also en route to Atlanta to support us. And then also the Cellular Analysis Survey Team was also assisting from headquarters and was also sending people to Atlanta. But the key is none of them showed up, because when about 4.5 hours from the time that Mateo was taken, he was returned to his mom. And that only happened because, as the chief said, the collaboration and the willingness and dedication of all of the folks that you see on the stage and all the respective agencies, and even people who aren't on the stage here to support this operation. So, Chief, I want to say hats off to you and your folks for doing such a great job, and also to GBI, GSP, and all the other agencies that supported this operation. And I'll turn it over to the GSP.
I'm Trooper Nels with the State Patrol. One thing I can honestly say is this has been a very positive outcome with this young fellow right here. Thank the good Lord. I also want to take my hat off to the young mother that's over here who fought like a true warrior. Chamblee PD done an excellent job getting the ball rolling on every bit of this stuff. The FBI, GBI, Carol SO, and other agencies that's been involved. Thank you to each and every one of you. As far as officer individual, Officer Rick Barber, he reached out to my Sergeant Michael Allen, who's in the back of the room here, and they was able to get in touch with me to get down to the area where the child would possibly be at. From there, I was able to notice the vehicle coming up the driveway, and was able to make a traffic stop on it and make sure the child was returned safely. With the help right here with the assistant chief here, done an excellent job. So, but I'll turn it over to you. Thank all y'all.
Saturday was a day that I will never forget. I cannot tell you the deep and abiding joy that I feel to have been a small part of this case. My favorite part was driving this precious baby boy back to Chamblee and returning him to his parents. He slept the whole way. God's hand was involved in the timing. When Trooper First Class Nelms arrived in the area of that residence in Carroll County, just minutes before that vehicle started coming down the driveway. Then, as they entered the road, they turned right in front of my unmarked police car. It was rewarding to be a part of that takedown, and that's something that will stay with me for a long time. But none of us would have even been in that area without the information that our investigators were sending us. Mateo was found safely 70 miles away, less than 5 hours after being abducted at gunpoint by complete strangers. This was possible due to an intense collaborative effort that required the full focus of every division in the Chamblee Police Department. What's more, it required several assisting agencies, as our investigators on a Saturday afternoon drew deeply from all the relationships and connections that they have cultivated with professionals at other agencies through the years. None of us can begin to fathom the level of pure evil that must burn in the heart of someone that would tear a child from his mother's arms. I'm still surprised at times by the depravity and selfishness that people are capable of. But today is a day to talk about something else, something better. Because dozens and dozens of good and honorable people dropped everything and went all out just for the chance to be a part of rescuing this child. He is safe today. Mateo will never remember what happened to him. He is undamaged, unharmed, and made whole. And as his mother works through the trauma of this incident, I hope that she can draw strength from the fact that she inspired all of Atlanta and beyond when we heard the story of how she fought for her son. She fought them tooth and nail. She took his gun and tried to shoot him with it. She tore his shorts and kept his shoe. She showed us a mother's love in action, and we're so proud of her. I hope I have the opportunity to see Mateo again as he grows older. This is a case I will never forget, and I'm so proud of this department and grateful for all these assisting agencies. The family has asked me to speak briefly on their behalf. I went to their residence just 30 minutes ago to pick them up to bring them here. And the grandmother of the family gathered us all in the living room and prayed with us, prayed for us. And she thanked God for the result. And she prayed for every officer involved in this scenario. And their story is inspirational. And they request privacy. They request privacy from the media, and they are happy to have Mateo back and to get back to the way things were before, where they had peace. And they, again, wanted to tell me how grateful they are for the assistance of everybody involved in this case. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Chief Bella. And lastly, when I came into the building, one of the things, when I met with the mother when we was in the midst of this, and I looked her in the eyes and I told her and I made a promise to her that we would do everything and use everything that we had to return her baby to her. Somebody asked me what was the first thing I said when we found out that the baby had been found safe. The first thing I said was thank God, because we understand that results like this usually does not happen, and the percentage is very low. So we thank God for that. So what we'll do right now, we'll take some questions. Everyone that's up here will be able to answer any questions that I can't answer, or if I need to refer to expertise, we have them all available.
Can you talk a little bit about the reaction when police found Mateo, the reaction from the couple? Did they say anything? Did they explain why they did this, anything like that?
I'll let, he was there, Chief Bell was there on scene, so I'll let him answer that.
What you had there was a felony traffic stop. They were put out at gunpoint, put face down in the road and handcuffed and separated. And the FBI Child Abduction Rapid Response Team responded and did interview both of them, but that's the end of what we're going to disclose at this time.
So nothing on a motive of why they did this?
All I would say is that they intended to raise this baby.
So do you think this is the first time they had tried something like this?
This whole thing is very new and under investigation. I don't have any indication of any previous incidents.
Can you tell us whether the couple have children of their own already? Do you know?
We believe that they've been married about a year and that they do not currently have any children together.
So were there two men that were involved in the abduction, but there's a man and a woman charged?
And then on the initial release, it said 2 men. Through further investigation, what we were able to find out is that it's a woman and a female. The woman was dressed as a male, so the initial visual contact would have made people believe that she was a male instead of a female.
Although these types of abductions you mentioned are rare, are you starting to see an increase in this type of abduction?
No, we're not seeing an increase. It's something obviously that's a priority for us, and we're not seeing an increase across the nation.
In this particular case, is there anything that you would recommend that people do to protect themselves? Or obviously you can't keep people from doing things like this, but what people can do in response to try to protect themselves?
Well, it's the same thing that you would do to protect yourself against any type of violent crime activities. Just to be aware of your surroundings and don't take undue risk in areas that you may not be comfortable with. And I'll leave additional comments to the chief to specifically talk about that for Chamblee.
Yeah, just to further respond on that. Again, situational awareness, your surrounding awareness, people knowing where you are. Try not to find yourself or put yourself in a position that you're kind of isolated. Be cautious if you're finding yourself in that position. Always be looking around you to identify what may be an upcoming threat, what may not be right, what situation that you may be looking at that may give you that feeling inside your gut that something may not quite be right. You need to follow that instinct when you get that feeling. But more so, what we really advocate is more and more people. What helps solve this as well is cameras. The public willing to allow access to the cameras, the video feeds. The surveillance is paramount. So we ask that our citizens just you can reach out through the different local agencies. We specifically reach out with Ring doorbells and other technology, but we specifically ask that if you have any Ring doorbells or if you have any type of video, that you reach out to us and we can begin to talk with you how you can assist the Chamblee Police Department in solving cases.
Can you talk a little bit about what we're actually seeing in that dash cam video?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Can you talk a little bit about what we're actually seeing in the dash cam video?
I'll let you.
So information had led us to a certain residence in Carroll County. And the hasty plan was to designate a staging area down the road in a cul-de-sac. And the residence in question was set back from the road. And so the plan was to meet at the staging area with various agencies and to put up a drone to check the residence. And Trooper Nelms was the first one waiting on that cul-de-sac that we had designated as a staging area. And as I arrived traveling south, he had already been watching the suspect vehicle start to pull down the driveway. And then I watched as it entered the road in front of me and turned right. And I had kind of slowed down and pretended to check a mailbox, so I think they were wondering if I was an undercover police car. And they probably took the first street to get away from me, which ironically was the staging area that we had selected. And so they pulled into that street head on with a state trooper with blue lights on. And then in my unmarked vehicle, I blocked them in with just a little tap to the rear, make sure they weren't backing up. And then a felony stop was conducted.
How did they select this mother? I mean, was that something they did to spur the moment, or do you think they have been watching this family, or?
No, we believe that they were in the area, within that area for that particular purpose. I don't believe that that family was specifically targeted or sorted or surveilled. It was an opportunity.
You talked about why the couple was heading to Carrollton, yet you had knowledge to be there ahead of them. What was that connection?
I'm sorry.
The connection to Carrollton, you had knowledge to be there ahead of this couple. What brought you there? And you mentioned a piece of property there.
So there was a residence there that we didn't beat them there, they were there. They were leaving when we spotted them. And there's, when I want to go back to the previous question about how the family was selected. And there's a piece of information that I want to expound on. As we've learned more about this case, we have discovered that in the same area where this happened, just perhaps 10 or 15 minutes prior, they tried to grab another baby. They saw a mother walking down the street with a baby in a blanket on her back. And he jumped out with the gun and challenged her, and she ran so fast that she made it into an apartment and he couldn't tell which one she ran into. And so he got back in the car and they circulated some more, and that's when they came upon Mateo and his mother. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because that woman never called 911. We don't know who she is. She represents an additional attempted kidnapping charge that we need to make. And so we've specifically asked for the Hispanic media to be here, and we need a push for that woman to come forward. And we always try and tell our citizens that they don't have to fear calling the Chambly Police Department. We try and protect and serve every resident of this city, regardless of their immigration status. But there's still some that are afraid to call 911 and that live in the shadows. And so we're asking for people that might have heard a story of a woman carrying a baby in a blanket on her back being chased to call the Chambly Police Department and come forward so that we can put additional charges on this couple.
It's happening in the same complex?
It's happening in the area. We don't know exactly where.
Okay.
And that home you said the couple was leaving from in Carrollton, did they live at that home or any connection to that home or reason that they'd be in the area out there?
There was a connection to that home that I don't want to go into.
So that was not their residence?
It was not their residence. They actually live in Brookhaven.
And you've mentioned, it's been mentioned several times of the male suspect here pulling the gun and it sounds like being possibly more so the aggressor. Was the woman present physically, like right there when the kidnapping attempt and then the eventual kidnapping took place, or did she play a different role?
In the kidnapping of Mateo, she got out of the car and played an active role. And as he struggled with her, she grabbed the baby. And I can't describe what happened in the first incident yet.
And you know about the first woman that never came forward because of a camera? I'm asking.
As I said, the suspects have been interviewed.
What is the immigration status of the people that you have in custody?
We don't know and we don't care. Oh, I'm sorry. When you said people we had in custody,
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about the victim. I don't have any reason to believe that what? Yeah, we don't know at this time.
Let me ask you this, would you describe your suspects as desperate people? Desperate for a child?
No, we wouldn't. I wouldn't describe them in that manner. I'm sorry. No, I wouldn't describe them in that manner. Okay. Turn it back over to Piao.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming. My contact information is in the packets. If you did not get a packet, there's some on the back table. My cards are on the back table. If you did not get a jump drive, those are on the back table as well. It does have the dash cam video on there. If you need anything else, please call me and let me know what you need. I'll be happy to help you with that. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate Mateo and his family being here to tell this story that's a happy ending. Thank you to our partner agencies for all their assistance, and we're grateful to everyone in this room who could share this happy story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good job, Mike. Messed it up at the end. No. I'm good.